Hey, I want to talk a little bit about my recent experience in my first mountain race, which was a little over a week ago. It was in Coahuila, Mexico, and it was the Ultra Coa, or Coa Ultra. I ran a 12-kilometer race, which was the shortest distance. There was also a 30-kilometer, 50-kilometer, 83-kilometer, and 100-mile. So my first race, I did a 12-kilometer. That's a little over 7 miles. It was up in the altitude in the Sierra Mountains in Coahuila, Mexico. And my race went up to about 2,500 meters, which is about 8,500 feet. I agreed to do the race in April because my girlfriend Luciana said, hey, you want to do this race? That she wanted to do it, and she signed up and ran the 50-kilometer. And in her race, 50-kilometer and the longer distances, those races went up to 3,500 meters, which is about 11,500 feet. So that was a brand new experience for me. I'm really glad I did it. I finished, which was really the goal. I ended up finishing in 7th place in my age group, which is 50 and older. And I wasn't trying to place, I just wanted to finish, but that was sort of a surprise when I found that after, because there was hundreds of racers. So me being new and not experienced, I feel that, it was a pretty good performance to get 7th place in such a prestigious race. The Ultra Coa is known to be the toughest track, toughest mountain trail in Mexico. It's very famous from around the world. And there was, I'm not sure how many countries, but there was flags from all around the world and people from all around the world. So what I wanted to share was, how I felt. It was definitely the most physically difficult thing I had ever done. Half the race was basically just going up, 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 up. And I felt a lot of pressure, which for me was great training because of the jiu-jitsu being my most important sport and my first sport and the one that I focus upon for competition. Pressure's really significant in jiu-jitsu. So I was feeling that pressure of being going up the hill and really intense on the legs, but not having a lot of oxygen. And I live in San Diego, so I've been running for almost 3 months. I was running for about 2.5 months preparing for that, but it's at sea level, so I didn't really have the opportunity to experience that high altitude, and that was the element that was unexpected and I could not prepare for. But I did it, and as I was going up, the mental game was a big part of it. As I was working up that hill, I just thought one step at a time, one foot in front of the other, and you get to the point where I don't know exactly where the finish line is. I just know it's ahead of me, and the seeds of doubt do creep in, and the question, like, why am I doing this? This is really horrible. There's really no turning back. So I was thinking about Luciana. I'm like, Luciana won't quit. She never quits. I'm not gonna quit. And I was thinking about jiu-jitsu, and I was thinking about training for the World Masters coming up at the end of August, where I'll be fighting in my first competition as a brown belt. And the competition's going to be really tough, and I was thinking while I was going through the race, like, man, I'm going to have at least 1 or 2 really tough fights where I'm tired, but I'm not going to quit. And I just used that bulldog mentality and just kept going forward. And so that was really informative for me, and the running in general really helps me. I feel it's a great asset for my conditioning. I don't get tired too much anymore with jiu-jitsu. Even when I roll a lot of rounds, I never feel like I always feel like I can keep going. And so the cardiovascular fitness has increased significantly, and that's an asset. I was thinking a lot about my sensei, Saulo Ribeiro, and Shanji. You know, Shanji's famous for his diamond escape and diamond guard, and you know the saying, pressure makes diamonds. So I was thinking about that a lot as I was feeling the pressure of the hill and the altitude. I was thinking about pressure makes diamonds, and just breathe and work through it. And I was thinking about Saulo, something Saulo is very well known for. He says that if you think you're late, if you're late, you use muscle. If you use muscle, you get tired. If you're tired, you die. So, that applies to jiu-jitsu and combat, but it also, applies to other things. And so I was really just focusing on managing my fatigue. And as far as the training, what would I do, different? Not too much. I would, the support was huge. When Luciana asked me if I wanted to do the race, I said, yeah, sure, because I love to do things with her. And I've supported her in previous races, but I never participated. So it was really cool, the idea that I could, do a race that she's competing in. And so I asked her to train me for that. So I followed her programs. And as far as that goes, I wouldn't change anything. The programming was perfect. I was running 3 days a week, most weeks. On occasion, I'd do a fourth if we could get up to the mountains, maybe in Tecate in Mexico or Laguna, and run with some friends there for a couple of hours. But for the most part, most weeks were 3 days a week. Just on the trails here locally in San Diego. And so my legs felt really good. I felt fit. I knew I could do the 12 kilometers in my legs. The only thing I would say that I would do different is I would pay more attention. I will pay more attention to my breath work and breathing training, and a little bit more focus in breath practice. And I've studied a lot of different types of breathing methods. I have an extensive background in Qigong from my Chinese Kung Fu training. I've been through the Wim Hof method and have practiced that on numerous occasions. And I've also been through the Oxygen Advantage program and got some great information from that. So I'm not dogmatic. I don't think there's any one system that has all the answers, but definitely concentrated, focused breathing practice is an asset. And just as much as the more you can manage your breath, the easier it is to adapt to stress of different types and unexpected things, such as now you're in the mountains and you need to exert a lot of effort with minimal oxygen. As far as the training, just more of the same. I do want to do this again. It was inspiring. It was very satisfying to set a goal and to achieve it. I want to do a 30-kilometer mountain trail race. I'm not sure if in the future if I'll ever go beyond that, but for right now, 30 seems like a really good goal, something I need to train for. It's significantly more than 12 kilometers, so it'd be a good step up for me. I'm never gonna make running my first priority, but it's gonna stay as like a support to the jiu-jitsu and the kettlebells that I'm already doing. And yeah, it's just really great. So just wanted to share my experience. I definitely encourage anyone that is looking to run or incorporate some running into the overall program, seek out an experienced coach. That's really important. Those of you that know me, Luciana is a tremendous coach with just really extensive background in running, trail running as well as track. So I definitely will recommend her for those of you that are looking for some assistance in programming your running, because there is a science to that. You can't just run random distances. You need a coach to kind of tell you how often, how far, what pace, to build that foundation. I can say a lot more about it, but the mental aspect was huge, and it actually makes you stronger, because it makes your mind stronger when you set goals and when you accomplish your goals. And so I have a newfound respect for runners. Previously, when I didn't have any experience in running, I never really considered runners special athletes or anything unique about it. I always thought it was like, well, it's just running. But I have a definitely a different respect, especially trail running and mountain running. We have a friend that ran the 100 mile, which is 162 kilometers. He ended up finishing in second. So that's really prestigious. He did it in 23 hours. So I think about that, and I'm like, well, I did 12 kilometer, and Luciano did 50. We have another friend that did 83. We have a couple of friends that did 83 kilometer, and then we had several friends that did the 100 mile. So there's levels to every game, just like in jiu-jitsu. I won World Masters as a blue belt. You feel great, and then as a pretty new purple belt, the next year World Masters, I was eliminated in the first round. And so it's like, now as a brown belt, I'm going for it again, and it's like every it's a different level. So you have to stay humble, you have to stay at the level that you're at, try to fill that out. So I feel really good with the 12 kilometer. I accomplished my first goal, so I'm going to set a bigger goal and work towards that. And that's the best part of it. It's just about finishing the race. I'm not trying to necessarily beat the other person, although I will say that at the finish line there was someone ahead of me, so I sprinted to pass that person just before the finish line, and that caused me to trip as I crossed the finish line. But thanks to my jiu-jitsu training, I was able to tumble and just roll right out of it, no injuries. So that was kind of fun. So the competitive part's there, but realistically, I'm just mainly just focused on finishing. And so yeah, if you don't finish, you never can have a chance of succeeding, right? And that's my experience with the mountain trail run. So hopefully this can help some of you. If you're on the fence about trying to run, reach out if I can help you. I'm not a running coach, but I can definitely point you in the right direction. And yeah, let's get after it. Thanks for listening.